In this video clip, I'm following up with the last one about accessing TABE profiles. Once you access the profile and save it, you are ready to do an item analysis. Now, the item analysis sheet that you have looks like this. It has instructions here. So let's just quickly go over these. The purpose of this is to help you decide what to teach a specific group of students. TABE levels are irrelevant here. You want to focus on the skills in which students are not proficient. The TABE tutor books and the Aztec books match these domains, so you can use those to remediate whatever's needed. So I'm going to walk you through how to do this, and these directions do the same. So you can read those. I won't bore you by reading them to you. This is a sample profile. This is not a real student. This was one that TABE provides as a training example. So we are going to profile this particular student's profile. That can't be correct, but you get the gist. What you would want to do is collect this profile for every student in your class. So if you have a class of 10 students, you should have 10 of these different charts, one for each student. So I'm going to presume that this chart belongs to John Doe. I'm going to profile John Doe. So the domains are listed here. Key ideas and details, that is one domain of TABE. For language conventions of standard English is one domain of TABE. The books that I mentioned and the software, even BoardWorks, is organized according to these domains so that you can easily find lessons and materials that you need to remediate these problems. Now, John Doe did not get non-proficiency in any of his areas. I think that is very much unusual. Most students have non or partial. I rarely see check marks in proficiency, especially students who are in class. If they're proficient in all skills, they're a level 4 and therefore are not in class. But let's take a look here. I started with the math. The blue chart is the math one because I needed the space. I was trying to fit it on one page. So these are not in order. I'm going to go ahead and do the reading. He is proficient in all 3 of those areas. So when I come down to my reading profile, I see that there are actually 4 domains of reading on TABE. And I believe it's craft and structure. Nope, he's proficient there. Key, craft, and integration, so it's phonics that we don't have. So he was not even tested on phonics. That's an E-level skill. But he was proficient in all of these. So I'm just going to put a tick mark in each of these areas in which he was proficient. So I don't need to teach the skill. I don't need to spend class time teaching this skill unless the other 9 students in my class are non-proficient. Okay, this is just John Doe. Okay, so let's go back and look at his language. He was partially proficient in conventions, vocabulary, and text types. So partial in conventions, vocabulary, and test type. He was not tested on this skill. And that's based on the locator. It's based on the computer's decision to assign a specific test. But on the skills he tested, he was partially proficient. I'm just putting tally marks in these spaces. Okay, on math, he was partially proficient in fractions, base 10, and expressions. So fractions, base 10, and expressions and equations, he was partially proficient. And then in measurement, algebraic thinking, and geometry. So measurement and data, algebraic thinking, and geometry, he was proficient. So these are the only skills he was tested on which he was tested. Statistics was not on his test. Proportions were not on his test. And then these skills were not on his test. Generally speaking, the closer to the top, the more basic the skill. So these are E-level skills. These are M-level skills. And then these are D-level skills. And these are A-level skills. So as this chart moves from top to bottom, the difficulty, the levels get more difficult. For example, this is a D or an A level. You would not see functions on an E level test. So this profile works regardless of the level of TABE your student took. So I have profiled this particular profile. And so then I would move on to the next one and I would do the same thing. So let me just make up some numbers here. Let's say that I had 3 students who scored here, 4 students who scored here, 2 students here. So when I'm making a decision on what to teach my class, I would go with this one or this one. And let me tell you my reasoning. 4 people are non-proficient in geometry. 4 people are either non or partially proficient in base 10. I would go with geometry because this is going to give me the most bang for my buck with class instruction. I would set a 1-month rotation. I would give my students a syllabus of what we're going to cover each day, and I would hit this geometry as hard as I could for 1 month. You can use BoardWorks, you can use TABE Tutor, Aztec, any approved curriculum that you want to use. It doesn't have to be TABE Tutor. I like TABE Tutor because it looks like the TABE test and it follows this order exactly. But you have to decide on what you would teach. Now, if I had an E-level math class, that's what we're trying here in Knoxville, I would give them this subject. Those students would study base 10 in an E-level TABE tutor. My intermediate level, my M-level students would study geometry in an M-level book. If you have a fast track class and I had to make a choice here, I would go with this one because this is where most of my students did not do well. What you're teaching will help all the students, but this gives you a starting point. What are they missing and what can I do to bring those TABE scores up in 1 month? What subject can I hit really hard? Another example, let's look at this language. If you don't have any non-proficients, then move to partial proficients. You should not be teaching proficiency. If students have those proficiency skills or scores, you don't need to be teaching that. That's a waste of time. So look at your partials, prioritize your non-proficients. So you will need to pull your profiles. You will need to organize them so that you can go down through there and tally those errors. And that will give you a starting place. We tried this in the month of May with our very large class here in Knoxville, and the feedback on that was good. Even a student said to his classmates, this is what we need to do because this is teaching us what we don't know so that we can move much faster. If you have questions about this, please do not hesitate to let me know that. I know this is different. Those of you who have been in adult ed for a while, we have done this before. Years and years ago, we did these item analysis and it worked wonderfully. I know it works. You will see gains if you take the time to do this. Okay, if you have questions, let me know. I am sending you this item analysis sheet as a tool that you can use in your classrooms, but I'm here to help you if you need me.